Jonathan's anti-book club. And what's an anti-book club, Jonathan? Do you know?
Something that Echo had decided on. So no, I I think the idea was that if I had read things, sometimes you didn't need to. So it wasn't necessarily about recommendations, but it was for me to talk about the things that I enjoy reading, particularly the things that build into stuff we might use in the master's program and in other courses. And sometimes I'm going to say, you have to read this. And other times I'm going to say, you don't need to bother. All right. I'll do that for you. All right. Awesome. I think that's the idea. And
what's your first book then, the launch book?
Yeah, so I thought very long and hard about this because I've been reading a lot. I'm up to at least a book a week at the moment. But the one that I think might resonate a lot with some of the people who we have watching this is called The Subprime Attention Crisis by a guy called Tim Hwang. And it's very interesting because if you're interested in marketing and you're interested in digital marketing, and you're interested in things like growth hacking and advertising and privacy and surveillance and all those other things, this is a book that I think really asks a very central question, which is, does any of this stuff really work? And Tim Hwang's idea is that perhaps it doesn't, that perhaps we are over-enthusiastic about digital marketing, and actually at the heart of it is a much weaker set of ideas than you might expect.
Oh, nice. So he says that whatever is out there is not working as well as we imagine it. Like, does he compare with old marketing?
Yeah, he does. So he asks a lot of questions, but let's just go through a couple of things that I think I took away from the book. So the first is we sort of assume that it works. And in fact, we've got so enthusiastic about it that 60 or 70% of advertising is now going online. And we are seeing Facebook and Alibaba and Amazon and Facebook as being the sort of, and Google as being the sort of the places you go and do your advertising. But the question is, does it work? Does that actually lead to sales? Does it lead to awareness? Does it lead to other things? And he suggests that, firstly, a large number of people who see the ad may not be people at all. So he's looking at the idea that maybe 30 or 40% of the views you get on your advertising aren't people. They're bots, they're machines, they're other machines that are, in a sense, seeing that. So that makes the advertising much more expensive than you expect, because you're expecting that when you spend $1 on an advert, that it's not $1.60. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that when humans are involved, okay, there's a big issue as to whether or not they can actually see the ads. So the ad may, for example, sort of disappear as you scroll past, but it will still be counted by Facebook as an ad, and you'll still end up paying for that impression that you've bought. Okay, so we might be in a strange situation in which you're paying for ads that somebody's seeing, but actually they're not really seeing it at all. I think the third thing that he talks about is that even when you do see the ad, what's happened is that ads have become very, very similar to each other. And as a result of that, you're not taking any notice of the ad. One COVID-19 ad, one car ad, one beer ad look very, very much the same as each other. There isn't a long time for detailed brand storytelling or whatever. So we don't have the recognition that we might have had in traditional advertising. We don't get these sort of big campaigns where we sort of don't really understand. The fourth idea is about brand security. It's about the idea that actually both Facebook and Google tend to surface ads in place where the advertisers would never, ever want to be seeing the ads. And we saw this, for example, with the recognition that ISIS, the terrorist organization, was actually being funded by funding that came from advertisers. And some really traditional advertisers, some FMCG advertisers, discovered that their ads were turning up on horrible videos. So it's all a bit scummy and disgusting, and you slightly wonder about that. One final idea, and I'll explain the title of the book. The final idea is that even when the ad is seen, even when the ad is seen by a human, even when the adverts are clicked on, the question is whether or not the customer would have bought the product anyway. I like to think about it in this way. Imagine that you're going to go and buy a newspaper in the local corner shop, all right? And you walk down to the corner shop and you're crossing the road, and you know what you're going to do. You're going to buy a newspaper. A clown costume appears, all right, who is from a company called Facebook. And what they try and do is persuade you to buy a newspaper. Hey, you should go in and buy the newspaper. Yeah. They can see that you buy the newspaper every morning. They can see that you go to the store and buy this newspaper. So the last thing you need is for them to remind the customer as they go in through the door, and indeed take money from the store, that they, they're going to buy the newspaper anyway. So has the targeting got so good that we actually are only targeting people who are going to buy the product anyway, and in which case the advertising just becomes a tax? The book is called The Subprime Attention Crisis. And what Tim Wang has done is to show similarities to what happened in 2007, 2008 with the subprime mortgage crisis. This was a time when people's mortgages were sort of chopped up and then securitized and sold on to other people as products. They became junk products or junk bonds or junk mortgages, all right? And people went in and bought them. Hey, look, we must buy them because what a fantastic opportunity this is, just like digital advertising. We're all rushing in to buy digital advertising, assuming that the product behind it is sound, it's safe, it's great for our reputation and good for sales. And what Tim Wang says is maybe it's not. Maybe what we're buying is junk. Maybe what we're buying is not useful attention. And even when we get sales, it's accidental, simply because the company has been able to target us. And the reason I love the book is because it challenges the fundamentals on which the digital economy is based. And that's really what Hyper Island is about. Hyper Island is about empowering people to work in a digital space. But if we all become sort of drones, if we all become, we just followers, just do the right thing, everybody else is doing it. That's exactly what we don't want. What we want is powerful people who are able to use their independent critical thinking in order to be able to change the world. Many, many things in digital, including some things about digital advertising, are fantastic, but we shouldn't just accept all of it, because if we do, we're not going to help our organizations, we're not going to help our families, we're not going to help our societies solve the big problems. So a great first book, I think, for Hyper Island, and one I do recommend you read.
That's very good. Thank you very much, Jonathan. And I see you on the next book.
Yeah.
You know which gonna be your next book? Not yet.
I don't know. I mean, I've been reading an interesting book about networks recently, a book called Change, about network thinking, by a guy called Damon Santolo. And that's probably the one I'll talk about next.
Cool. We're looking forward to it. Thank you.